Greetings and welcome to episode 18 of the Weekly Review, a weekly podcast for words about games where we talk about the games that we've been playing. I'm your host, Amy Kate Alexander, joined this week by Daffy Mooney. How you doing? You good?
Monday. You know what that means, ladies and
Literally.
gentlemen.
Literally Monday right now.
Yes, indeed. How are we all doing? I hope everyone's had a good weekend.
I had a great weekend.
Very good.
I got to annoy the shit out of you playing Among Us.
Yes,
I
you
had
did.
a fantastic weekend.
You did. Yeah, you were the scorn. You were my scorn that night, Amy.
I was my own scorn as well, because I had one good game and a fucking shitload of bad games.
Yeah. It was there, but it was, as always, among us Saturdays, there's always a great time for us all. A couple of hours just chilling, having fun, bitching each other, screaming at Ryan sometimes, screaming at each other.
Whoever's closing all of the doors.
Stop it now! My character's just like me, a fat man who doesn't want to go walking far, and you're making him go the long way around to get to the doors.
Yeah, it was. And then they'd
And
shut
then you
you.
lock the door. Yeah, the nicest way possible. Then you were a cowbag to me that night.
That was the worst. I'm not even going to deny it. That was the worst.
It was fun. It was fun indeed, ladies and
I mean,
gentlemen.
it cheered me up considering I fucking ripped someone in half right in front of Phil. He was just like, and that was the second time I'd done that.
I was really funny that when I don't know if it was, I think it was Elenius who was literally smashy right in front of me. So, no, I thought it was Smashy who did that.
Oh no, I did that in front of somebody else. Smashy had a bad night.
Smashy in the next level, I think, for us. Yeah,
Smashy just had a bad night in general. Like the one game I did well in, I ran across a corridor, and then I walked into the big storage area, and I ran in, and I was like, oh, actually, I'm going to go the other way. But just as I turned around, I saw him stop at the fuel card, and I just went, I mean, I've got to do it for the memes, right? And I just ran across and killed him, and then ran off.
I got to do it for the memes.
The poor guy kept dying on the first round. Every match. And you just be in the lobby afterwards going, come on guys, it's not funny anymore. It was funny.
Hey, come on, like, seriously? Come on.
It was.
Stop it. Stop smashing me.
Sorry. But we already did an Among Us video. And a Game of the Year video where Among Us came up. So yeah, we're here today to talk about two games that I've played. Well, he doesn't play video games anymore.
No. Too lazy.
I mean, I'm not going to even make jokes about that because he's definitely not too lazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you don't get this gorgeous belly of a physique without being lazy.
I just wanted to be known that I said none of this.
With my buzz cut.
All him. He said it all. Memories of me. We're here to talk about Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. And curious, I turned the page to read the title of the game, even though it's like, what, did I forget it? No, of course I didn't. And Curious Expedition 2. I got a code for Curious Expedition 2. I feel like I should mention that. So they gave me the game.
That is the thing to do, apparently.
They gave me the game, and then I played the game. And now I want to talk about the game. That's the deal, right? That's the deal.
I believe so, Amy. I believe so, yes.
Cool. I wrote in green pen this week in my Get Sherlock diary. My radiator collected it, threw me off. Does that thing where it clicks on and then clicks off, then clicks on and then clicks off because it's trying to maintain a constant temperature. And it's just like, just warm my room. Just warm my room.
I got my lovely radiator on right now. It's warming me up nicely.
Mine's stinky.
But the good thing is the snow is gone, Amy. The snow is practically gone where I live now.
Boring. And then it's like, oh, it rains. And it's like, rain's just boring snow.
But then when the sun comes eventually, you're going to be like, oh, God, this sun, it's just boring.
Well, no, the sun I hate. I hate summer. I've never liked summer.
Do you like any
I'm on
any
record.
season?
I'm
Do you
literally
like
sitting
winter?
here. I'm literally sitting here going, snow is awesome.
Oh, did you?
Guess. Yeah.
I misheard that. I think
No,
you
no,
could
no.
only
Rain is boring. When the snow goes away, that's boring. I like the
Rain's
snow.
amazing. Rain is fabulous.
I love snow.
It washes all the crap away.
I hate summer. It's too hot. I've never liked summer.
I hate winter. I hate the snow.
It's so
Can't stand
easy
it.
to just like turn the radiator on, wrap yourself up, and be like all cozy and snug and warm yourself up. Summer, what are you gonna do? Even if you lie underneath a fan on your bed, naked, under an open window, you're still gonna be too hot.
Then
And
don't
because
lie underneath the quilt.
and because your window's open, all the fucking bugs and shit get in. And every night I've got to fucking get the can out and be like, oh, there's moths everywhere.
But this isn't.
And
the
I'm still
bug
no
trap.
colder. So, what's the deal, Summer?
You should go out and absorb the rays like Superman does.
No,
It's very good
that's
for your body. It's
Superman
it's
gets superpowers, right? I just go really red. I don't even tan. I just go red. I'm either haven't caught the sun, or people stop at roads when they see me coming. That's it. That's summer.
There's not even a traffic light here, and I'm stopping.
Come on, right? That's not cool. It's just my face, man. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. It's 2 games in one. So there's like, it's a port of the Wii U 3D World game, which is like, it's a 2D platformer in 3D. So it's like a side-on perspective with like 3D worlds, so you can move like backwards and forwards in them, as well as like, you know, left and right. And then Bowser's Fury is like a proper 3D game, where it's like you get full camera control and the default camera's behind you and stuff. And that's new. That's brand new. So like they made that for this. So we'll start with 3D World. You say I have less to say about it because I didn't play it for very long. 3D World, she says, cutting to the footage, which starts with Bowser's Fury. 3D World is a very good platformer. Like, it reminded me of Sackboy. Like, and I know, like, there's Mario fans right now who are, like, about to, like, burst through my door and be like, you fucking what? Mario reminds you of Sackboy. Hold your horses.
Pitchforks and everything. The scene from The Simpsons.
Hold your horses, I just literally mean like in terms of the gameplay and the way like the levels and the map works. It's pretty much like it's the same as Sackboy. Now, obviously, Sackboy took that from Mario 3D World, but you know, I played Sackboy first, so go figure. So it's like you go level to level, and in between levels, there's like an overworld that you walk around to get to the levels, and like every now and again, you'll find like a shop where you can like you go in, you don't buy anything, like you just there's a big present and a small present, and you pick one. And if you pick the big present, shitloads of stuff comes out, and you're like, "Wow, that's awesome!" And then the second time, I was like, "Oh, there's a little present here. I'll bet you the little present's got something really, really cool in it." And it's tricking you. It's reverse psychology. And then I picked the little present, and it was shit. And I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?"
You overthought it, did you?
Son of a bitch. And yeah, that's the game. Like, there's tons of really, really cool, really well thought out, really creative levels that you can go through. Like, it starts off like fairly standard for a Super Mario game. Like,
what, the princess gets kidnapped and then you have to go inside?
no. What happens at the start of the game is there's everybody's walking along. It's Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Peach, and they're all like do 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 do. That's the Animal Crossing theme. But you get on with this, and then there's like a glass pipe, like a see-through pipe, like sticking halfway through the ground. So Mario and Luigi fix it which turned out to be a great idea because then this little fairy thing flies out of it. And then the fairy's like, Bowser's kidnapping all of us. And then Bowser pops out of a pipe and grabs the fairy and puts it in a jar and roars and then goes back. And then Peach is like, oh shit. And then she just falls into the pipe. And then everybody else jumps in. And like it. So all you get a cutscene where all four of them are flying through this pipe. And Peach is going first. And Peach is wearing a dress. And Mario is immediately behind Peach. Looking directly. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like, there's some logistics in this scene that I don't think Nintendo's really thought through for their family-friendly game. Mario's got some view, is all I'm going to say. as they're all flying off to this
brave sunglasses on at the end.
Like, oh, damn.
Or trying to get a magnifying glass.
No wonder Mario's eyes are open so wide. But yeah, you land in this world, and then you just do like the first few levels are just like, hey, here's how you play Mario, because like the big thing with Mario 3D World was it was the cat costume. Yeah. So like, you know, you get like the Tanuki leaf and the you turn into a fucking squirrel or a raccoon or some shit. I don't remember. I was a Sega kid, okay, and then like you get mushrooms and fire flowers and.
People smash through your door right now.
But it added the cat bell, so you turn into a cat. Because of course, like there's nothing. And honestly, and I really like this game, but I got to get some stuff off my chest. There is nothing creepier than finishing a level as Mario. And then what it does is when you do the course clear thing, and he jumps up and he goes Yahoo, and then he goes meow, and it's just like, oh God. I'm never going to be able to unhear that. Why? But yeah, it's like the cat costume lets you like climb up stuff, and like you can do a dash, which is like an attack, which is really weird because like in Mario you jump on things, but now in Mario 3D World you can literally just be like, here we go. I'm assuming in the sequel he gets guns. But it's cool. It's fun. And then once you start getting into like the end of sort of the first world, and the second world, and the third world, which is as far as I played, like you start getting some really interesting levels, like really, really interestingly designed. Like there's a shadow level, which uses like shadows quite in a really interesting way. Like you're running along, and it was like, oh, there's a shadow of a star, which is like the optional collectibles, but it's not in front of me. Yeah. So then you're like, okay, and then you like you look around, you run, and then it turns out like if you run towards the thing, it's like there's a whole area which you can tell, and then at one point you go into a door, and it's like you are running across the shadows and stuff. It's really cool. And there's a lot of stuff like that, and like there's a ghost level with the booze, where it's like, oh shit, like they keep tricking you. And it's like, oh, look at the flag. I've finished the level. And then you hit the flag, and then it goes poof. And then a bunch of boos bust out of it and go, ha ha, dickhead. They literally say that as well. And then, and then you're like, why I order? Yeah. That's Super Mario 3. That's the first half of Super Mario 3D World. Like
I've seen a couple of the like people play it and everything like that. It's very colourful, beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very sexy. I won't lie. Very sexy art style. Pun not intended with what Davey told us about the opening, like that. But no, yeah, it is a very visual, beautiful game. But it also looks like it's a game that's very co-op heavy. I'm just thinking, should I maybe get it? First, I have to get my Switch back from my nephew. But yeah, get my Switch and maybe rent it. You may give a go at it.
Yeah, we could do. I mean, I enjoy playing it.
Like you might enjoy even more playing it with people. That's all.
Like it's like 1 to 4 players. Like the co-op in Mario 3D World is, again, I haven't played it. I'm pretty sure it's literally just like because there's 4 characters, right?
Yeah.
So like you just pick a character and you just do the platforming, and that's it. You just do the levels. I'll like obviously go into Bowser's Fury like in a bit, but in Bowser's Fury it's not great co-op. It's like that weird 3-year-old take the controller and be a part of this game
Yeah.
in a very meaningless way, but like that you where you get to like participate kind of thing, or it's like, you know, but you take control of the one of the other characters, and like literally all they can really do is fly around and occasionally like paint question mark blocks to get you items, but you can just direct them when you're playing single player. Which is a shame because it's like, I'm like, spoiler alert, Baz's Fury is amazing. Like, it's my favorite part of the game. But yeah, like it does. Like, I could see why it might seem like it's quite co-op heavy. The thing about 3D World that I don't know if co-op might solve it, just because I'll be having fun, because we'll just be goofing around, because that's what we do when we play games together. But like, I don't really like 2D platforming in a 3D environment, like side-on platform, because like you can sort of control the camera later on, but only like you. So it's like, if you imagine it side-on, you can like turn it to an angle, like a bit. But for the most part, it's side-on in a 3D world, and like, but it's a 3D world on a 2D screen. So like, I'm like, depth perception is difficult. Like, enemies are coming at me, and I'm like trying to throw fireballs, and it's like I'm missing, because it's like, well, like, it's hard to judge. Or like, you're like, I'm gonna jump on this Koopa, and then you just jump over them, and it's like, oh god, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So it's like in the 3D world sections, it's like, it is a really good platformer, but it is just like, this isn't as tight as like 2D Mario.
That's a shame.
Which I really love. I love 2D Mario. I didn't grow up with it, but you know, I came to it late. I really liked it. There's Captain Toad levels in the game, which I forgot about. This is where Captain Toad comes from. I love them, but I loved Captain Toad, the game that they released following 3D World. So, like, more, please. Can we have a sequel of that next? You already ported it, Nintendo.
Yeah, that's the thing. What I've noticed, isn't it? Like, they port a game, and then soon after, a sequel is announced. So I like what was it? That Mario creating game, Mario Maker.
Super
Mario Maker, that got ported, and then number 2 was announced like a year afterwards. So yeah, if this does well, I can see it getting an out. I can see Toad getting a sequel and everything like that.
I hope so, because I like Captain Toad. Like, it's a really good puzzle game, and it's nice when you like come across a Captain Toad level in this. Well, it was for me, because I was like, yeah, let's go on an adventure. Like, that's what he says. And I really, really like those puzzle levels quite a bit.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bowser's Fury, which is fucking brilliant.
What a surprise!
Like, oh my god,
that's brilliant.
It's fucking great. Like, it's like a full 3D sort of world, right? So it's not like I was just describing. It's like you got full control of the camera, and it's like it takes the 3D world game, which is, this is going to sound weird considering it's called 3D World, but it's called 3D World because it was originally a 3DS. Like the 3D World franchise was like a 3D game on 3DS where you could like have the 3D on the 3DS. It takes the 3D world and game and makes it 3D. So like, it's the same mechanics, it feels the same to play, it's got all the same sort of power-ups, and it's the same sort of like world design, character design, level designs, but it's just blown out into this big 3D world that you get to just explore. It's brilliant. Like, is this like really cool experiment like that they just added to a port of a game, which they didn't have to do. They could have ported 3D World to Switch.
Yeah.
And everybody would have still been like, this is great. But they did this other thing. And this other thing is like the reason why I love this game so much. And played it for an entire Saturday in my pajamas. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the pajama day.
I had
Very
a
good.
Pajama Rama day. Pajama Rama day. Like the putting, for me personally, like taking the game away from sort of like the fake 2D-ness, like of the side-on perspective, and making it a proper 3D game, like fixed what I didn't like about 3D World. because it gave me like the full control of the camera. So all of a sudden, I felt I was in more control of it, and I could like platform properly, and I could like aim. Like, it was great. Like, I used a fire flower, and I went plop plop, and I actually like knew where I was shooting, more or less. But it's great. So like in the conceit, that's not right. The premise of Bowser's Fury is like, it's pretty much the same intro, kind of. It's just except it's just Mario. Mario's just like it's the Animal Crossing theme again, and he's just walking along, minding his own business. But like a portal just like explodes in front of him, and he just gets sucked through this portal. And I'm starting to wonder if this is like how all Mario games just start, like just minding your own business, and then he just gets sucked through a portal or fall into a pipe. And then you get to this other world, and it turns out Bowser's like been infected by some kind of weird dark sludge stuff, and he's fucking huge, and he's mad as hell, and he's gonna just be mad, and that's it. Like, it's weird. Like, so you team up with Bowser Jr. He's the little co-op buddy, because Bowser Jr. is like, my dad's gone nuts, help. That's literally it. And then you're like, and Mario's just like, okay. And then you go off and do that. So like, you're in this big world of like different islands, and all the different islands are like levels essentially, but again blurred out into sort of one seamless world that you can just explore at will. And then in the middle of this like lake, ocean, I don't know, whatever, like is Bowser, who like rises up from the black sludge very slowly, and then he'll start spinning around, and then he rises up, and that's like every time he gets to the top, and then it starts raining, and like there's fire and stuff, and then he just comes out and just starts wrecking shit for a bit until you either find a cat shine, which is like the collectibles that you're looking for, which will send him back into the thing, or he just gets bored and wanders off. He does that too. Like, if you don't find one, he just gets bored and goes, all right, cool, and see ya. But
see you later, alligator.
So like, while you're exploring this world and doing all this stuff, like every now and again, like Bowser will just be like, fuck, I'm gonna fucking wreck some shit. I just finished watching Godzilla.
And he watched the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer.
Yeah. So like, you keep having that sort of gameplay loop, and as you're collecting these cat shines to keep unlocking these Giga Bells, I believe they're called. So like, when you get like 5, you unlock one, and then 10, and then 20, and then 40, and then 50. And when you unlock one, and then Bowser turns up, you go through it and you collect it like it's a collectible, and then Mario becomes a giant cat. I need to clip some of this podcast out of context and just put it on Twitter. So Mario becomes a giant cat, and then you have a big fucking kaiju battle with Bowser, and you just have to keep beating him. And then eventually you beat him enough to win the game. That's it. Spoilers. But like, once you get to 50, like you do the final boss fight. So like, as you're collecting more and more shines, like the Bowser wrecks the world sections keep happening faster and faster until you get to the point where it's like the last few. It's literally like you are trying to collect these shines in this world while Bowser is just non-stop trying to kill you. Which you'd think would be annoying, but it's actually kind of funny. Where it's just like, I'm trying to do this platforming, and Bowser's just laser breathing everything, and it's like, oh, come on, man. Give me a second.
What are you doing to me?
But like, yeah, there's 100 shines altogether in the game that you can collect. So once you do the 50, and you know, Bowser gets fixed, and then and then there's this really cute cutscene that I won't spoil at the end. But then like, you do the credits, and then after the credits, Bowser Jr. is back, and he's just like, yeah, so turns out my dad's still really angry. And it's just the weakest justification for, you've left some stuff behind. Do you want to go and get it? But we can't take out the core gameplay element of Bowser being really mad and turning up every now and again and wreck some shit. So it just continues, like...
Very good.
And you can go back, and I did for a bit. I got like 79 out of 100 shines, but this one island I fucking hate it so much.
Nintendo always do that. Like, always give you a level where you're just like, oh, for
I
God's
fucking
sakes,
hate it. It's called
Nintendo.
Rolling Roller Island, and it's like platforming, but all the platform sections like rotate. So you've got to
Oh yeah.
keep like running around them as well as going across them and stuff, and like you get attacked, and there's a whole thing I don't enjoy. And I keep getting really close at the end and then falling off, and it's just like I won't do this anymore.
You're like,
But yeah, it's really good. Like each island generally has a lighthouse, so you sort of complete the level,
yeah,
collect a shine, and it unlocks the lighthouse, which is cool. And then like there's usually like 5 tokens, like cat tokens, you can collect at various intervals in the level. And once you collect
yeah.
all 5, that's the second one. And each island generally has those 2 things. And then beyond that, there's a bunch of different challenges. So like there'll be like a button, and if you ground stomp the button, it's a combat challenge. For example, so you've just got to beat all the enemies. Or there'll be like a Shadow Luigi that you've just got to chase and defeat. My favorite one, which was also really infuriating, is there was like a level where it was like invisible platforming. It was really,
Oh
really
yeah.
cool. So like there's a shine right there, and you run up to it, you're like, this is gonna be the easiest thing to get ever, and then it's invisible wall. So like you can sort of see, like if you imagine like Mario, you can sort of see like this much of like a platform around you. So you've got to like carefully like platform while also there's enemies throwing stuff at you. It's great. I loved it. Like there's tons of cool challenges like that I really enjoy doing. Um,
Fantastic.
and the kaiju
It's the
boss
same.
fights are ridiculous.
Yeah. It just seems like it's just typical Mario greatness. And that's what you want basically in the day. They always switch it up enough to where they just like, how are they doing this just it's just good. 3D type, they do great. The platforming type, they do it great.
Yeah, like
2D/3D platform type thing, they still do it overall great. And
yeah,
it's like karting, they do it great. Golfing, they
they
do
do
it
it great.
great.
Football, it's fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's like it's not like Super Mario Odyssey or like 64 or Sunshine or whatever. Like it's very much just like it was an experiment in like a game, making a specific type of game and a specific type of gameplay loop. Like the experiment was in like, hey, Bowser's can get a turn up every now and again, and he's giant and you can't fight him, so you've just got to avoid him. And sometimes you can even use him to break special blocks on the map to find more shines. And like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like I don't think they could have made a full, like however long Odyssey took to finish length game out of Bowser's Fury. I think it's kind of like it's about 3 to 4 hours if to finish to hit the credits, and probably double that to finish it
So
to get
that's
hundred
why
percent.
3D Mario World's with it.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so
yeah, it makes sense. Like as it being its own, it's it being an add-on as opposed to its own thing. But it also makes me really excited for the next proper 3D Mario game. It's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, 3D Mario games are amazing.
Yeah, you gotta think there's another one coming. Will we hear about it this year? Possibly. Who knows?
I hope so. Because like I say, I really
I
enjoyed
think
Bowser's Fury.
I think if we hear it for Zelda, we'll see something from Mario. I
Like,
think
yeah,
that's when that'll happen.
Odyssey was amazing. So, and this was brilliant too. And Bowser's Fury is a new game, so I get to maybe put it on my Game of the Year list at the end of the year.
Possibly, possibly.
But yeah, it isn't a long thing. Like again, but when you add it in with 3D World, which is I don't know how long that would take to complete because I probably won't.
Hmm.
But I've like seen sort of like 8 to 10 hours be like the ballpark for like finishing 3D World. Like when people are talking about it, so like the whole package is probably like 15 hours to maybe 20 hours if you decide to 100% Bowser's Fury, which or longer if
Pretty
you decide to
decent.
100% 3D World as well. Like
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot
pretty
there.
decent. That's pretty decent. That I'm not gonna lie.
There's a lot there, which is cool. I definitely don't think I'm gonna go 100% Bowser's Fury though, because I just don't have the patience for rolling Roller Island. Um, shall we move on to the next game?
Why not?
Why not? So the next game, Curious Expedition 2, which is, I wrote it down, it's a roguelike exploration game, which is a bit Indiana Jones-esque. It's like set in like the 1880s, and you're an explorer, um, and you explore procedurally generated islands like to look for treasure. Well, you complete your missions, but you're always looking for treasure, so like that's the main thing you do. Or you might be like looking for the missing explorer, or find the golden pyramid, or like do basically it like if you imagine like pulpy adventures, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that you're doing. Um, wow, my handwriting is terrible. And that's it. That's the whole sort of game. There's a story to it, which is interesting. I always find it interesting when roguelikes try to do stories because, like, not everything's Hades. To put it really bluntly, not everything's Hades. And if you don't really adapt your story very well to a roguelike environment, like, it's not going to work very well because, like, in a roguelike, you die and you go back to the beginning if you die. So don't die because you're trying to progress the story. Hades handled that really well, whereas not a lot of other games do. But in Curious Expedition 2, it's fine because the story is very meh. That's the exact word I wrote. It's very meh. So I got through like the first two acts of Curious Expedition 2's story, and I'm going to try and recap what I remember of it. There's a woman who is a treasure explorer person, and you find something cool, and you touch it, and it blows up, and there's a purple fog. And I remember that because it's also a gameplay mechanic in the game, not necessarily because of any story like ish implications. And then the island disappears, and then she goes off to sort that out, and then you are just another character who is an adventurer who goes off and explores islands, and every now and again helps the woman. You meet up with her at some point. Some lizard people got really mad at me because I kept desecrating their shrines by accident. Some more stuff happens. She goes off and disappears. You go to find her. That some woman is in it at some point, and she's like your rival, but like not in a friendly way. Like she legitimately tries to kill you a bunch. And that's all I remember of the story.
Well, that's not good.
Not if you really want to play a game for a story. Like,
Not really. If you just for well, yeah, if you want just for a story, you want to play something else. How about okay? Well, obviously, its main mechanic is roguelite, I'm guessing.
yeah, so it's got it does some interesting in stuff in the gameplay, and some of it's good and some of it's not so good. Like the exploration is fun, like exploring procedurally generated islands, because that's the main thing that you're doing. Like in between these big, huge, expansive sort of story missions, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just picking contracts basically. So like I said, find the golden pyramid, or like find the missing explorer or something, and then it just takes you to an island, and then you're just exploring the island. So you've got your party of adventurers. Um, you build as like time goes on. Like you recruit people at the tavern in Paris, which is like the place you go in between missions, and it's pretty cool to just like explore an island and sort of like tell your own story. It's like the thing with the lizard people who got bad at me. It's like I know I made it as an offhand comment, but I remembered it because it was stuff that I did. Like I went to a tower, like a treasure place, and I fucked with the altar, with the treasure on the altar, and didn't think about what I was doing, and then the fucking whole thing collapsed into a chasm that was huge, and the locals really didn't like that. And, and then I found a statue head with like with like obviously had offerings around it, and I was like, oh, I get it. Like they've left offerings to the gods here. And it would be a terrible idea if I took all of this stuff, because I imagine it would make them mad, and they already hate me because I just made a giant hole in the world. But then instead of pressing cancel, I pressed take all, and then like they got even madder, and then it's like, oh, like cool. At that point, they started hunting me, so I had to start fighting them. And eventually, I just went, you know what, fuck this shit. Then if you want to fight me, I'll fight you, and then just like rip my shirt off and just fucking start killing all these locals. But it's like that's cool. It's an interest like that specifically is an interesting sort of risk reward mechanic, where it's like you can take the treasure and that will benefit you in when you go back to Paris and you get to sell it for all of these resources. Or like you can not do that and not piss the locals off, but then be able to like talk to them and maybe get a quest from them, or be able to rest at their village, because resting in this game is really important. Like, because you move with sanity, and when you run out, bad things start happening when you try to move. So if you rest somewhere, you can regain it. And also you can trade with the locals and stuff like that. So like that's really cool. Like you find like a waterfall, which is a place you can rest at, and you could rest there. And then as you do so, like character interactions might happen between members of your party, where there'll be like this brief interaction. But that will also have a gameplay mechanic where it's like these two characters became friends, so like just their sanity is higher or their attack is higher when they're together and stuff like that. People can get mad at you and leave the party in the middle of adventures, as it turns out. Like they'll just stop off, and like you're not the only boat like at this island.
Just that's like, very intriguing.
Where did you go? Like, what did you do? Did you go native?
I'm sick of murdering these people for you. I am now leaving.
But like, yeah, it's like that. Like that is. So it's like a loyalty mechanic where it's like if you do certain things, like the loyalty will go up. Like when you level them up. So like when you get XP, it's like it's a universal thing, not a character specific thing. So once you get enough XP, you can level up one of the characters, right? Rather than like leveling up your party, or like a character has their own XP bar. And when you level them up, their loyalty goes up. But and like sometimes the loyalty can go up based on like decisions you've made and stuff like that. But sometimes the loyalty of certain characters would just go down for no reason, and I can never figure out why it was happening. And I didn't know whether it was something
that something game. Let's admit this.
Degraded over time. But it's like it's a mechanic that really is kind of annoying at times, because it's like, oh, your loyalty's gone down to 1 out of 4. Why? I don't know. But if it goes down again, I'm gonna have problems.
Well, that seems like they've got a little bit of just a balance issue. Need they sort out that balance? It sounds like they've got a really good mechanic behind them.
Yeah, like different characters that you can recruit can give you different stuff. Like, so you can have like a thief, like a street alley rat or something. I don't know what they call them, but it's basically a thief character. And on top of giving you different dice in combat, and I'll talk about the dice in combat in a minute, the like they give you the ability to be able to steal. So like you can attempt to steal from characters, locals, basically anyone who's got stuff. And it's like a dice roll check, and if you pass it, you can steal something with no consequences. You can have like healers who can like heal your characters inside of combat. You can have like marksmen who can use guns really well, or you can have like people who can use like fight really well. You can have a dog character accompany you who like every like 25 days like traveling will like just randomly find food. Like they'll kill an animal basically. So there's all sorts of like different ways you can like build out a party, which I thought was really cool. Like again, the character sort of selection and the way they can interact with each other is really cool. And the exploration is really cool. But the combat's not great.
For a roguelike, that's kind of its bread and butter, you would hope.
It's not as big a deal as you might think. Like, you can go through entire islands in this game without ever fighting. Like sometimes, like if you can keep the locals on your side, if you can avoid, like say the roaming beast, for example, like say there's like a hyena roaming around, you can avoid it, and not fight. Like I've played the game where I've done islands without ever fighting, and it's just been like a pure adventure game. But when you get into fights, and you do need to get into fights in the main story, when you get into fights, the combat's weird. It's kind of by design, and I kind of see what they were going for, but also, ooh, I don't know if that was necessarily the right move for this game. So like, characters have dice basically, and depending on the type of character, it will depend on the type of dice that they've got. So a character who's good at melee will have like a lot of red dice. A character who's good at healing will have a lot of blue dice, sorry. And then like this green dice, which is support dice. And when you're doing stuff in the world, you're rolling these dice and the colors matter. So like when I was talking about thieving before, like to pass a successful thief check, your thief will roll all of their dice. And like two of them, let's say, need to come up as green for you to be successful.
Yeah.
That's cool, right? Like you can have tonics and items that can like add extra dice to the pool to help you basically. And that's really cool. But in combat it works similarly but different. So characters have moves. Like a healer will have a healing move and maybe a move that gets rid of like poison or stun or any kind of debuff or status effect. And like the character who's like, you give because you can equip weapons to them. Like character might have some swords that will do an attack. And at the beginning of each round of combat, you roll all the dice. Right? You just roll like every character's got like 2 dice. So you like say you've got 5 characters, there's 10 dice, right? So you just roll 10 dice. And then like their colors will come up of the moves, or a blank will come up because there's blank signs. And then you've got to work with what you get, right? So like you can have great rolls where you get loads of cool like synergy like things that you can use really well in combination with each other, or you can get really bad rolls and have like shit basically, and you can re-roll dice once per turn. So like you can just choose to re-roll all the blank dice to try and get them to come up with something, or like if you see them, if you're like, I don't need that dice, like I'll re-roll those and see if I can get something. But that's generally a bad idea, because if you're rolling dice that have come up as something and then you re-roll them and they come up as nothing, you've just made things worse. So that's generally something you never do. The enemies don't follow this dice rolling pattern. So like if you're fighting an enemy who does 2 attacks every round, right? It's got 2 attacks. It will do those 2 attacks no matter what you do. So it's not constrained by the same thing that you are. So like sometimes fights can be a breeze because you're rolling really well and everything's going really well. Sometimes you'll get fucking destroyed because your enemy is consistently attacking you every turn, and you can't necessarily do the same because they're playing one game, which is like a standard turn-based RPG, and you're playing an entirely different game against them.
You're playing a D&D.
Yeah, you're playing with dice, like colored dice, like a simplistic version of a D&D thing, and it doesn't quite mesh together all that well.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Yeah, because if they had the same dice thing, then it probably would have fixed the balancing issue.
Yeah, like if they were rolling, if the enemies were rolling dice as well, it could fix the balance issue quite well. Because the dice idea is a really interesting idea, and it's really cool, but also like in combat, it just doesn't mesh very well. Like you can boost one character's move with another dice, so like butterfly attack, right? Like it's a green dice and it does 6 damage, let's say. But if you take another green dice and instead of using that move, you can use it to boost this attack, and it does an extra 9 damage. So it'll do 15 damage altogether instead of just 6. Like, so that's really interesting because it's like even if you get something that's not useful, you can still potentially use it to power up a different attack. And there's a lot of different sort of moves you can do that can have some really interesting status effects later on. Like you can have an attack that if you boost it will also heal your character, for example. But then you get into a fight with like I had with this abomination creature. Like it was called an abomination, and its second attack did 15 damage, healed itself for 15. Like it was like every single round it was healing, it was damaging 50 and healing 15, and it's like if I'm not outpacing that, then things are getting progressively worse for me. Like, and it's hard to outpace that damage when I can't consistently. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do much damage at all per round. And sometimes I can't. So, like, I was in this weird fucking fight of attrition where it was like, I should be able to easily defeat you, but I can't. Because you just healed more than I've been able to do in, like, 2 turns. Like. And then it turns out you kill it and it respawns because it's a weird abomination thing and it follows you across the map. You have to run like hell.
Yeah, it seems like there's some balancing issues there. Like like what you said, they've made 2 combat systems for the villains and for you. And because they're strained to just a normal turn-based RPG, they can easily slice and dice you quite simply.
Yeah.
But you're restrained to the luck of the draw, basically.
Yeah. And, like, sometimes the luck of the draw can flip it entirely in the other direction. Where it's just like, I get, like, fantastic synergy off of all the dice, and it's like the fight's over in 1 round. Like, because I've just been able to obliterate everything in front of me. And, like, as you level up, you get more dice, basically. So what? Go on. Yeah, sorry, go
on. No. I was going to ask, so what would you have preferred? Would you have preferred that the enemy was under the same rules as you, or would you have just preferred a normal turn-based RPG?
No, like, a normal turn-based RPG, like, it would have been fine, but I don't know, then it's like, well,
just a turn-based RPG.
It's just a turn-based RPG, and then it's like, well, what about the dice in the others? The dice rolling in, like, finding loot and finding treasure, or, like, avoiding traps, or, like, doing anything outside of the combat, because that stuff is really good, and is really interesting, and like, yeah, it's like, if the enemies just, like, were rolling dice for their attacks as well, that would be great. Like, even if there was a turn where the enemies completely freaking just, like, critical hit in me, it's like, at least I know it's still level, right? It's still a level playing field.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's times where I've been able to flip that on its head and wipe everything out in 1 turn because the dice came up good for me. But yeah, it's just a bit more. I don't even know if necessarily balanced is the right word. If everything was just a bit more even, I think. Like,
yeah,
I know that's a synonym, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's I think basically they needed to make a choice, and they've tried. They've basically said, let's try and do both worlds, and both worlds are not meshing properly. Like, if you're incredibly lucky and you're getting those, like what you said, sometimes the dice roll can literally obliterate the enemies with 1 hit, but then sometimes it's just like, oh my God, why won't you just give me what I need?
Yeah.
Type of thing. While they're just like,
yeah, it's like, oh great, like, stop stabbing me, stop stabbing me. Look, I don't have any good. Stop it, God.
Yeah, just give me what I need.
Like, the enemy's just like, stop. Why are you hitting yourself? Stop hitting yourself. It's like, oh man, this is embarrassing.
That's the thing about it. Because if they went to normal turn-based RPG, then they would fundamentally need to change the story up. Because that's sometimes the best thing about turn-based RPGs. They're backed up with 9 times out of 10 a good-ass story with good, intriguing characters that you get invested into. But this one has not a good, really a very so-so mess story for you.
Yeah,
it's like
I'm not about that. Again, I'm not like. I'm that weird person who's like, I can play a game with a great gameplay and a bad or a mess story. I don't want to say bad because it's not a bad story. Like in a mess story and be like, this is great. But if you flip those the other way around, I'm just like, this is bad. Like if it was a great story but with meh gameplay, I'd be like, this isn't great.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like as far as the game goes, it's fine. It's pretty good. Like it has a lot of the same roguelike trappings where it's like you have gold which you use to spend in runs to get resources that you can use in those runs, and like if you don't use them they get turned into like rewards at the end of the mission, which then goes into a separate currency which you can use to buy permanent upgrades from like the different shops and shopkeepers in the in between worlds in Paris, which is things like weapons and equipment and other permanent upgrades. Um, that's pretty standard. You know what I mean? You're powering up between levels. When you go and select expeditions, like you've got the choice of one skill difficulty, two skill difficulty, or three skill difficulty, and the
Yeah.
rewards get greater the harder you decide to choose a difficulty for. Um, so it's got like that's fine. Like it's whatever. Like there's three different sponsors that you choose. You choose one sponsor at the beginning of an expedition, and you give all your rewards to them, and then that levels them up. And then as the more you level them up, the more rewards you lock that you can buy from them. So you can buy like weapons that are specifically come from them, or like companions that specifically come from them. And it's all fine. Like it's fun to explore the world, but like every time you get into a fight, it's like, oh no, how is this gonna go? And then you do the main story missions, and they're like 3 times longer than the expeditions, and story stuff's happening, and you've got to fight these people now, and now you're in an underground cave with lava and stuff. And these people will try to kill you, and it's like, okay, can I go back to doing the procedurally generated stuff, please?
Please let me do this.
Can I go back? Can I go back to just accidentally making an entire like population of an island disappear because I fucked with one of their altars, and it was really creepy. Nothing like bad initially happened, and then it was just like there's nobody here. Like you go to the village, when a place where you'd normally be able to trade and rest and talk to the chieftain and maybe get a side quest, and there's just no one there, and you couldn't do anything. And it was just like, oh, what have I done? Like I like when you mess with an altar, like something really bad always happens, and it's like I made a chasm like happen, like the purple fog stuff that like affects your sanity just erupted from the center of it in a massive plan. But like the one I felt the worst about, and the one that was the like creepiest, was the one that really didn't do anything. It just made a bunch of people disappear, and I was like, this is the worst one because this is just super creepy. Everybody's gone. Not even dead. Everyone just disappeared, and I don't know where they went.
Oh, bless.
Oh man, it's cool. It's an alright game. Like, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
When I find a bad game, you'll know about it. Trust me. Look up the episode where I talked about Remote Broken Porcelain.
Well, I think that's it, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
the diary retired for another week. I don't know shit. I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about next week. Some little nightmares, I guess. But,
2 different games, 1 opinion for both games and everything. But I won't lie, I'm intrigued by this the Expedition one because of just what you're saying. Like, I'm very intrigued to see what the mechanics are like for it. So I've got it installed as well on my end. So as I'm off now for a week, I might give it a crack. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like I say, it's worth a shot if you can play it. If you want to play it, if you have access to it, like give it a shot. And obviously, like Bowser's Fury, like absolutely loved it. Like Patrick asked me on Twitter if it was worth getting for him because he'd played 3D World or Wii U. Like, don't ask me that. That's a question I can't answer. Like, I had never played 3D World, so for me, it was definitely worth it because I got the full thing as new. Like, is Bowser's Fury itself alone worth the price, of like a brand new Nintendo Switch game? I don't know. Like,
you can't answer that.
I don't know because that wasn't how I experienced the game. It was really great. Like, it was really, really great. That's the best I can do. And yeah, next week we'll probably talk about Little Nightmares 2.
Little Nightmares 2, I would say, yeah.
And I might play some early access games for next week because obviously there's nothing like in the new releases that's caught my attention in any way. You like to be like, I want to play that.
It's a slow start right now.
But I have Rogue Legacy 2 and I have Ooblets and I've never played them. And I was like, I want to give those a go.
Very good.
So I might do that. We'll see. Who even knows? Not even I know. I did not imagine. If you go back and watch the end of last week's weekly review, everybody, I was like, I'm not even going to play Mario. Like, I didn't even mention it. And then it's like, it's the headline game. Because it turned up miraculously. It turned up on launch day. So, like, you know how, like, that never happens because the poster on My Way is terrible? Like, it legitimately turned up on the Friday. Dispatched on the Thursday, arrived on the Friday. I played it on the Saturday. And I'm probably going to send it back on the Monday or the Tuesday.
Respect.
Unless you want to play it, in which case, we'll see. I might keep it, but for a bit, because I can do that. But yeah, it's just like, who even knows what I'm going to end up playing? Like, I surprise myself constantly these days.
Fabulous. Well, let us know. Yeah, well, let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if you've played the games and what you think of them. If I'll sort this out. Any suggestions you think we should give a try? Let us know. If we are able to, we will give them a try. We can't guarantee it and everything like that because obviously busyness.
There's a few barren weeks. Like, it's not just this week coming up, but there's like a few weeks where there's just massive gaps in the schedule at the moment. Yeah. Like, Hollow Knight might get announced as coming out in one of them, and then I'm going to play Hollow Knight. But like,
Amy's done for the weekend.
I'm done for that entire week.
Yeah, we won't even have her for Among Us.
If probably not. No. If there's like a 2020 game that you've seen that you've liked that we haven't tried, like, give us a shout and I'll add it to the pile and maybe I'll go back to it when I get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Summer's gonna be. I feel like summer 2021 is gonna be really sparse this year. Like, I feel like especially it's gonna feel it even more because last year we had Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, and I feel like we're gonna get Ratchet in June, and I feel like nothing's gonna happen in July.
I think it's the first year of new consoles. That's what always happens in it. It's a very slow first 12 to 18 months of their life cycle. They throw out a couple of sporadic titles.
I feel like we'll get like a couple indies, and it's just going to be like me and you are just going to be like running a weekly review podcast, scrambling for games to play.
Yeah. Well, we could go. Excuse me. We could go like. Controllers got released obviously on the PlayStation 5 with the new updates. I've been thinking of maybe going back to see. I've got Jedi Fallen Order installed, so I might like do an update review on that. Saying,
I'm not like. I mean, you can tell about Control on one of these podcasts when you play it. I won't be because like I'm doing a retrospective on it at some point. So.
I won't be going back to play.
I'll just sit there and be like. It's coming in an hour and a half long video.
But first, the other one I'm doing first.
Yeah. You already took Mass Effect from me. But it's cool because we're going to do a really fun podcast about it.
Yeah, but I think that one's going to be the longest one we've ever done then.
Maybe. This one is if we don't stop talking.
That's true, yeah. So let's get out of here, Amy. Bye, everybody.
Go. I need to eat and edit this podcast because it's actually Monday night. Bye.